good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk. And this is Let's Talk with Conversations with Friends. It's always fun and exciting when we do our shows because really, you guys, our topics are really very interesting topics, and we hope that everybody could get a benefit out of what we will discuss tonight in reference to health and black women. This show was basically on the heels of influencer, beauty influencer, social media influencer Jessica Pettaway, who unfortunately passed away from cervical cancer. And we know that cervical cancer and any type of cancer is like a norm nowadays. However, in her case, she was misdiagnosed before it got to stage 3. According to all the reports, they said that she kept saying that she was having headaches, pains, all types of things, and they kept sending her home, unfortunately, saying it was probably fibroids. And then when they realized that it was cancerous, cervical cancer, it was too late. So myself and the chef, Melodic Storm, is here, and we're gonna have this conversation. I wish that more Black women will speak up about some of their experience of when they deal with medical situations. We have a bunch of articles. You know, this is always a sensitive topic, definitely when we're on YouTube, because for some reason these platforms, when you talk about medical issues, they sometimes feel as though that you're trying to give people misinformation, and I don't think that's the case. But however, we want YouTube to know and anybody else to know that we have articles, and Melodic is going to share maybe some personal experiences of some of her friends. And I hope that some people in the chat will join us as well. What's up, Melodic?
Thank you.
What's going on?
Oh, I'm doing well. How are you? First, I'd like to apologize to everyone for postponing the show. Unfortunately, the hosts were under the weather, and we weren't able to make it last week. But we're back this week and happy to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
Yes, let's talk about it.
Jasmine
Woo!
Pettaway, man, that it's a very sad situation. What happened to her? Um,
It
you
really
know,
is. It
I have.
really is.
I'm gonna read the article just for the
Okay.
sake of so everybody
Thank
can
you.
see it. Uh, and this is according to Essence. Beauty influencer Jessica Pettaway dies from cervical cancer after misdiagnosis. Hold on, one second. One second. The YouTuber wife and mom died at the age of 36. Doctors previously told her it was just a fibroid that she was dealing with, and it wasn't a cause for alarm. Okay. Jessica Pettaway, a popular beauty influencer and the YouTube personality, lost her battle with stage 3 cervical cancer. The 36-year-old wife and mother of two died March 11th, and her sister, Raina Brown, shared the news on social media. It's my birthday today, and the only thing I could ever wish for is for God to bring you back to earth, on this earth. Brown wrote in an image of herself and Jessica. I lost my beautiful big sister 2 days ago, and my heart has never felt pain like this. She continued praising her sister, saying she was the most amazing, strong, confident. She was the most amazing, strong, and confident woman she had ever met, and filled her life with so much wisdom. Prayed for me and helped me become a better mother. She concluded, life will never be the same without her crazy laugh, pranks, and jokes. Losing a sibling feels like a connection between us and was destroyed. I love you all with my heart. The news about Pettaway's cancer diagnosis wasn't a shock to her avid followers. In July, the YouTuber shared it with her social media followers. In a lengthy narration, her doctors had initially diagnosed her with fibroids in 2022. After ongoing bouts of intense vaginal bleeding, including an episode where she was found unresponsive in her bathroom after bleeding out, she wasn't accurately diagnosed with cancer until February 2023. Beautiful young lady, you guys, as you can see. Uh, and then the rest is her statement from on social media.
Ooh, wow. Oh, there's so many things to be said about health and the Black woman, too. We have high death rates with childbirth. Um, I've heard so many different horror stories pertaining to Black women and health, and I can even speak from firsthand experience, and I'll share. Um, Quite often, our pain, people are not empathetic to our pain in the medical field. Sometimes, um, I'm speaking from personal experience, so that's my disclaimer. My views are not the views of this show, the channel, or the
Well, let
Let's
me
Talk
let me let me
Network.
ask you, and I know when we do our shows, we never want to turn it into like an interview session,
Mm-hmm.
like we're
Mm-hmm.
interviewing each other, because that's not the case. But let
Yeah.
me ask you, because you're a woman, and this topic hits home.
Mm-hmm.
So when you having an experience of pain, and you let your primary care physician know this area or I'm in pain, what's usually the response?
Well, I'll say this. So, my primary care physician for many, many years was a man. He was located in Midtown. Um, I won't give his name, but I absolutely loved going to this doctor. And I loved going to his office and being seen by him because I had had bad experiences in the past. Of course, as a child, going to the pediatrician, I went to my pediatrician for many years. My mom trusted this pediatrician, and he did a great job. But as you become an adult, you have to then field your doctors on your own. So the first doctor that I went to was actually someone that my mom and my grandmother had gone to for years, and then she retired. So then I had to find my own doctor um, on my own merit, doing my own research, and that was very difficult. I want to say that I probably jumped around to maybe two or three providers because after not being able to book appointments, um, they're always booked up, or they're not available the times that I need them to be available. I started asking for recommendations, and I actually started going to this one doctor in Midtown, actually right by Trump Plaza. And I have upper respiratory issues, and I could not kick whatever virus or cold that I had. And I suffer from a chronic disease, and excuse me, the doctor was not able to help me, and she kept trying to prescribe amoxicillin. And I'm not that keen on taking antibiotics because I was like, listen, this is something that I suffer with. Um, Chronically, and I don't want to keep taking antibiotics because then you can become resistant to them. No, like this is not no. Is there some type of regimen or something that I should be doing? I love homeopathic remedies. I will say that. And she was just not helpful at all. And then I was referred to another doctor, and he was my doctor for years, probably for about 10 years until I moved out of state. And I found another doctor who was a little closer to home, but he was amazing, and I had shared my experience with him in regards to the previous doctor, and he was like, "Yeah, unfortunately, Black women do have a very hard time when it comes to the medical field." He was extremely empathetic to the fact that I was a Black woman, and sometimes our pain is unheard. And he was an amazing doctor, so kudos to him. And honestly, I would recommend him to people, in New York, in Midtown, or anything like that. But it was just that was a horrible experience then. Um, my labor experience, my first bout with labor was a horrible experience, to the point that I actually got into an argument with the anesthesiologist because he I told him, I said, something is wrong. When he gave me the epidural, I felt like he had pushed the catheter in too far. And I said, pain just shot down my left leg and it's numb. Something is wrong. And he told me nothing is wrong. Nothing's wrong. You're fine. I said, no, I'm telling you that I'm not fine. And I'm telling you that you need to address it. And he actually wasn't the head anesthesiologist. He was right under the head anesthesiologist. And his boss came in to check to see what was going on. And actually he was reprimanded. And his boss, he goes, I did it right, and she's complaining. She's complaining. Like he was very dismissive. And his boss said, let me stop you right there. First of all, you always listen to the patient. If the patient, yes, we have certain procedures that we follow, but if the patient is telling you that something is wrong and something doesn't feel right, you need to listen to her and you need to address the situation. So he goes, ma'am, what do you feel like the issue is? I said, he kept pushing, and he kept pushing. And then I felt a sharp pain that radiated straight down my leg. And now my left leg is numb. He goes, okay, I'm going to pull the catheter out. He goes, and as I pull it out, I'm going to pull it out slowly. And when you feel the pain, like when you feel relief, let me know. And I did. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. Needless to say, I wound up having to have, after many hours of labor, I had to have a C-section. And when we went into the operating room, of course, the anesthesiologist that I, had words with was there. And the other anesthesiologist came in and I asked to have him removed. I didn't feel comfortable going under anesthesia with him actually overseeing the anesthesia. I didn't want to deal with him, and I didn't want him to work on me because at that point I had lost trust in him.
Well, you guys, Melodic is giving a first-hand account of her personal experience as we discuss Black women in health. And I have an article. It's a very interesting article from NBC. I'm going to share and I'm going to read. Medical mistakes are more likely in women and minorities. Hundreds of thousands of U.S. patients are harmed or die each year because diagnosis errors. Women and minorities are up 30% more likely to be misdiagnosed than white men. According to Liz Szabo, Health News, Charity Watkins sensed something was deeply wrong when she experienced exhaustion after her daughter was born. At times, Watkins, then 30, had to stop on the stairway to catch her breath. Her obstetrician said postpartum depression likely caused the weakness and fatigue. When Watkins, who is Black, complained of a cough, her doctor blamed the flu. About 8 weeks after delivery, Watkins thought she was having a heart attack, and her husband took her to the emergency room. After a 5.5 hour wait in North Carolina hospital, she returned home to nurse her baby without seeing a doctor. When a physician finally examined Watkins 3 days later, he immediately noticed her legs and stomach were swollen, a sign that her body was retaining fluid. After a chest x-ray, the doctor diagnosed her with heart failure, a serious condition in which the heart becomes too weak to adequately pump oxygen-rich blood to organs throughout the body. Watkins spent weeks in intensive care. She said a cardiologist later told her, "We almost lost you." Watkins is among 12 million adults misdiagnosed every year in the U.S. In a study published January 8th in JAMA Internal Medicine, researchers found that nearly 1 in 4 hospital patients who died or were transformed to intensive care had experienced a diagnostic error. Nearly 18% of misdiagnosed patients were harmed or died. In all, an estimated 795,000 patients a year die or are permanently disabled because of misdiagnosis, according to a study published in July. BMJ Quality and Self periodical. And you guys, this is for just the copyright thing, for fair use to report this article and use it for educational purposes. So it backs up, you guys, what the discussion is saying in the data of people and particularly black women being misdiagnosed, and a lot of you sharing your personal experience, and we know things that and have heard like really sad and serious horror stories, as with what happened with Jessica Pettaway.
Right, right. That's so unfortunate. I mean, I feel like the list goes on. Um, Honestly, we have to be our own advocates. And if you feel uncomfortable with a diagnosis that's given, if you feel like the doctor or the nurse or whoever or the nurse practitioner was dismissive of when you told them your symptoms and you don't feel comfortable with the answers that they're giving you, always seek out a second opinion. That is your right. We're talking about your life. In some instances, you're talking about life and death. And it's so unfortunate. Like I said, that there are so many horror stories that I know of pertaining to minority women. I have a sister circle and we talk about things like this all the time. We bounce information off of one another, like, hey, maybe you should go back and speak to your doctor, and because that doesn't sit right with me and it definitely shouldn't sit right with you. Utilize your resources and definitely seek out other medical advice from other doctors, etc. Don't be afraid to be an advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
um yeah, that's really unfortunate. We can go on and on, Q, about some of the horror stories that um I've heard about firsthand. um I have a friend who had breast cancer and had to have a double mastectomy. And when she had the surgery and then she had the breast reconstruction surgery, the doctor left a piece of mesh inside of her that they no longer use, and she had all types of complications. Her body was weak, and then she just could not understand why she was not healing the way she should heal. She felt like, hey, well, I feel like I should feel much better than what I do. I feel worse than when my breasts were removed.
Yeah, yeah.
And she went back for a second opinion, and when they did an MRI, they saw that she had a piece of mesh left inside of her, and she had to have an additional surgery to have that removed. And she's had complications beyond that as well.
And one thing about having these types of conversations is that you realize the seriousness of it, and you realize the how relevant it is and how
And the
common it
prevalence,
is.
right?
So
Exactly.
it puts you in like a somber mood to even talk about it, because it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, we're discussing it, and it's like we want. I know for the people in the chat that may be like, oh, they ain't got no energy tonight for the show. Well, it's energy. It's just when you have this topic, it's just like really sad, and then knowing how our our fellow YouTuber passed away, and then it's
Right.
like, wow, you you want to be cognizant. You got a lot of people who may not, whatever for whatever reason, may not go to their medical physicians, the primary care physicians. But then when you have somebody that's real keen and going, and you put a trust in somebody, and it's like, okay, human error. Everybody can make a mistake. You know what I mean? And it's just sometimes that um, as they say, let's get it right instead of worrying about getting it first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. I more often than not, excuse me, there are a lot of different there are a lot of different things that a lot of different ailments that are misdiagnosed with Black women. Not to mention the fact that in some instances, decent medical care may not be available to, minority women. Sometimes in poor neighborhoods, sometimes you have doctors there that basically want to pump you with the antibiotics. For there are so many instances where instead of doing more tests, a doctor will prefer to just give you some amoxicillin. I don't know if you remember that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and every time someone was sick, she said her father's cure-all was Windex, so he would spray them with Windex.
Wow.
If you have a cold,
That's the
oh, let me
humor,
spray you with some Windex.
that's the humor of
Exactly.
it. We drink the ginger ale.
Or we take ginger ale, or back in the day, I remember
BC powder.
Robitussin. No, Robitussin, and Castoria.
Yeah. Oh.
Right.
Witch
Or
hazel.
take a teaspoon of baking soda.
Wow.
Yeah.
For
Yep.
everything.
And for everything,
Yeah.
exactly. Like it
Yeah.
was like a
Yeah.
cure all. It was hilarious.
That's amazing.
Or self-diagnosing your,
Well,
your parents or grandparents self-diagnosing you.
I know it had been in the news. So, a very famous actress, because we're on the topic, very
Ooh.
famous actress,
Oh,
Halle Berry.
yes.
She went to a doctor, primary care physician. She's a woman of a certain age, and this is very important because Halle Berry is a woman that's an aged woman who usually women at a certain age they start really being keen on their body. They start really understanding, and men they start really understanding what's going on because you know your body. So she went and what's the premenopause?
She was experiencing perimenopause,
Perimenopause.
and she went to her doctor, and he told her, he misdiagnosed her with herpes. He told her that she had the worst case of herpes that he's seen in a very long time.
Woo,
And
woo.
she said it caused problems within her relationship because, of course, she approached her partner like, what in the world? And she said after they were both tested, etc., and it was, she found out that she was misdiagnosed and she was actually experiencing perimenopausal symptoms.
Wow.
And she wanted to share her story because she said that there were so many women that she felt like would be able to relate, and she wanted them to be aware that this is something that could happen to you. That was amazing. I give her kudos, and I take my hat off to her for sharing that information and using her platform to make people more aware.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up right now.
Yeah.
We'll pull the article up. Here you go, you guys. You can see it here. Hold on. According to the LA Times, Halle Berry perimenopause was misdiagnosed as worst case of herpes her doctor ever saw. Wow. Halle Berry said a herpes misdiagnosis about 3 years ago prompted her to use her platform to help other women transitioning through menopause. The Oscar winning star, 57, divulged the graphic experience that led to her misdiagnosis after having great sex with her boyfriend, Grammy winning musician Van Hunt. The Monsters Ball and Catwoman star described extreme pain after intercourse, detailing her sex life with no shame on Monday on the Getty Center during a day of unreasonable conversation, the fourth annual summit hosted by social impact agency Proper Daily. I have this great sex. I wake up in the morning, I go to the bathroom, and guess what? I feel like I have razor blades in my vagina. Barry recalled in a conversation with the jokingly mortified First Lady Jill Biden via People and Yahoo Entertainment. I run to my gynecologist and I say, "Oh my God, what's happening?" It was terrible. He said, "You messed up again. You have the worst case of herpes I have ever seen." Messed up again. She must have had it before. Her doctor, she said, ran more tests and was convinced she had a sexually transmitted disease. So she confronted her partner about it, and they both tested, and both were negative for herpes. She realized later that the pain she was experiencing was a result of vaginal dryness, a symptom of
Perimenopause.
perimenopause,
Mhm.
which is the stage when a woman's period becomes more irregular prior to menopause. Amazing.
Mhm.
According to the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, the amount of estrogen produced by the ovaries begins to fluctuate in a woman's 30s and 40s. A common sign of perimenopause is a change in the menstrual cycle, which can become longer than usual, shorter, and be skipped altogether. It might be heavier or lighter than usual. Also, the mother of two said that her doctor did not prepare her for the transition, which begins the end of a woman's productive years. That's when I knew, oh my gosh, I've got to use my platform. I have to use all of who I am, and I have to start making a change and difference for other women. And this is important, you guys, that women be allowed to share their experiences. And anybody, we should have an open society to be able to talk and have conversation about, look, this is what I went through. Because really, we all understand that an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure any day. So it's
Indeed.
best that we be vigilant on what's going on.
Indeed. Indeed. I'd like to give you another example of um, a minority woman went to a very prestigious hospital in Midtown. Um, Someone that I knew personally, who was a family friend, and she lost her life. She went in for a very simple routine procedure, which was to get her tubes tied. And she had her tubes tied. She went home for maybe 2 days. She was experiencing extreme pain. So she went back to the hospital. No, she never left the hospital. She never came home. Um, it was discovered that when the doctor tied her tubes, he sliced another organ and she hemorrhaged to death. He did not realize that he had sliced another organ and he
Mm,
just closed her up. And when she went back to the hospital, they there was nothing that they could do. It was so far gone that she actually died, and she was in her late 30s.
mm.
When she went to the emergency room, they was like, "You're fine. You're fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with you." And there was definitely something wrong with her.
Mm.
So that's just another instance of her pain and her symptoms not being taken seriously, and people being dismissive to her and her situation. Like I said, there are just so many different horror stories that I've I've heard about, and I definitely feel like you should absolutely reach out to your peers because you would be very surprised to see how many stories are similar.
Yeah, you guys in the chat, we're talking about black women in health and some of in reference to Jessica Pettaway, who was a social media influencer, where she was misdiagnosed by her physician that she had fibroids. She kept saying she had pain in her stomach area, was getting headaches, and in all actuality, she passed away a month ago of cervical cancer. It was stage 3 when she passed away. And, you know, this discussion, I can't overemphasize it enough. It's amazing how you'll have this discussion and more people will not say nothing, not be involved, not be concerned. But when we have discussions on other things that may just be, maybe a relationship, I'll just use that. And you'll get more people with more input and want to say things. And really, these type of discussions are beneficial to all involved. So it's you guys. It's very important that, like I said, and I can't oversay it enough. Melodic said it. Get a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion before you decide to do something with your body or tell somebody that something's going on with you. Um, Doctors practice medicine. That doesn't mean that they know everything. They not one doctor knows all of medicine. They and I guess they do the best that they can. But however, you know your body better than you know your body definitely when it comes to a feeling
Indeed.
better than anybody. And that's really one of the biggest issues that I noticed is if I say to you, I got a headache, you can't say I don't got a headache. Nobody can say I don't got a headache. I'm telling you I got a headache. And
Mhm.
we should always take it serious when somebody says that they're not feeling well. Or when
Right.
they have a symptom of something.
Indeed. And again, you should speak to your peers because speaking to someone else who has similar experiences as you could actually help you out when it comes to seeking better advice for your ailments. I just want to share a few statistics. And this is from PubMed, um, NCBI, and also from the Michigan Medicine .org website. Black women are at least twice as likely as white women to remove their uterus through a hysterectomy. A third of hysterectomies are done during peak childbearing years between the ages of 18 and 44. Black women are more prevalent to have fibroids, but there are other options that are available and not as extreme options as a hysterectomy, especially during your peak childbearing years. But sometimes, in certain instances, some women are not given those options. Of course, when you have surgery, it costs more. It's a more direct route to stop whatever is going on. But if a woman is in her childbearing years and she would like to have a child or have more children, other options should be available to her because there are other options that are available. I'd also like to share that the average annual age adjusted hysterectomy rate was higher for Black women at 49.5% per 10,000 than for white women at 41.2% per 10,000. For 65.4% of the hysterectomies in Black women, the principal diagnosis was uterine fibroids, compared to 28.5% for white women.
Mm. Numbers don't lie. People do, but numbers don't.
Indeed. Indeed.
And that's according to Michigan Medical Association.
MichiganMedical.org and the pubmed.ncbi.nim.nih.gov. So, um, yeah, it's most unfortunate. Um, Sometimes I've had conversations with peers about hysterectomies, about the fact that hysterectomies have been offered as an option to them as opposed to other alternative practices that can actually, be used to help with fibroids. as opposed to doing something as extreme as a hysterectomy, especially childbearing, within the childbearing age range. Um, and I was a little shocked and a little appalled by the fact that someone in their 20s or someone in their 30s would actually, be prompted several times to have a hysterectomy when there are alternative procedures that can be done. And before a hysterectomy is even considered, it wasn't even offered. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
I think that one of the issues is, like you said, we have to understand that we're the patient. Um, you're not going there to get told what to do with your body. You're going to get an opinion, get an advice, get
Right.
an assessment, get a consultation, and sometimes get to two or three different consultations. Um, we've heard like countless stories where a person may have endometriosis, and and symptoms are small, and they think it's one thing because it's all there, for a lack of better words, not to be graphic, and you might not be able to see what could be pressing on what where, even with a medical exam. So sometimes these things happen, which is really unfortunately. So it's important to don't be so haste in making a life changing decision.
Right.
And that's one thing. We are haste maybe because of resources, money, time, insurance, whatever, but we should not be hasty making these type of decisions.
Right.
Melodic, one of the things, and you guys in the chat may not know, is that me and Melodic, when we are usually having a conversation or a show, it's always a bunch of laughter, a bunch of humor, and for some reason this show is just like, ugh. And we apologize for that. It may not seem like we have the energy. It's actually the opposite of how we both feeling today. Today was a great day, beautiful weather. I'm quite sure she had a great day. I had a very interesting day, and can't wait to eat dinner. And I don't know if she ate her beautiful dinner that she might have cooked today, but I know she's drinking tea right now.
I am, and dinner is cooking right now as well. It's actually a little late tonight.
So, so melodic, you wanna I got you here now, so now we going. So
Mhm.
before we close out, before you close out, you could close out today,
Mhm.
which is be perfect. Um, give us a give put a cap on this show and tell us some of the vision that you have for conversations with friends going forward.
Oh, the visions for conversations with friends. I honestly feel like this show is a platform that helps our community. And I don't know, you guys can chime in and let us know what you think. But I feel like there are a lot of taboo subjects that many people are very afraid to tap into or to talk about. And I feel like conversations with friends, we're okay with tapping into those taboo conversations. I think they're necessary, and we need to help one another as a community. We definitely, I care about my community. I care about what happens in my community, and I want people to be more in tune with one another. I think empathy is probably a major word that we should all focus on, and stop being so concerned with you, and let's be a little bit more concerned with us.
That's right. And it's no way better to cap off the show. You guys tune in 2 weeks. We'll be back again. We'll try to be here, and if not, we'll give you guys something um, every week. Every week we'll try to dip in a little 20-second video, something, and make sure that you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you check us out. We're going to be doing some different things in a good way to help us grow the show and help us grow. Because one thing about our people is that sometimes people don't listen to the people who they're serving. And it's always an honor for people that join us that we're here for you guys. I mean, so
Indeed.
always be able open to suggestions. You can always email me at ltalk5600 at gmail.com or hit Melodic up on her Facebook page as well as my Facebook page and Let's Talk and all that good stuff. And
And as well as the Instagram page as well.
yes,
Or
Melodic's
you can check
Instagram page.
my website, melodicstorm.com.
Yeah,
In the
Melodic is a well traveled poet. You guys in the chat, and you guys that may be watching the rebroadcast, this isn't her poetry show, but one day she may share some poetry with us, or she may have her own show very soon. Hint, hint. And we'll see going forward how we decide to do that. With that, everybody have a great, great week. Enjoy the weather up until Thursday because we got more rain coming if you live in the Northeast. And take care, and we'll see you guys soon.
Good night.